Hello everyone and welcome. It's Shanna. So glad you're here today. Now today we're going to be working with this A2 full front shaker pocket from Cat Scrappiness. I've never used one of these before. I've always just used leftover acetate from my stamps and die sets for my shaker cards. I've just cut the acetate from the stamp packages or the die packages and used those. And I've never done a full front shaker, so it'll be fun to do this today. So I'm just bringing in an A2 size panel, and I've got Hammermill 100-pound cardstock and my Score Buddy, and I'm just going to make an A2. It's going to be a top folding card base, so that's what I'm going to be using for this. So I just got that scored up, and I'm laying that aside, and then I'm going to bring in some paper. I've got this paper from Cat Scrappiness that I'm using that is called Spectrum of Love, and it's a real pretty two-tone blue pattern paper with hearts on it, and I thought it could make a good masculine Valentine's card. So this A2 full front panel has got some protective film over it, and you have to just remove it before you get it all put together and everything. So I'm just pulling it off, and it's got a real clean, clear sheet, so I really like that. And I'm going to just flip it over, and I'm going to start building my card base with it. Now I will tell you, I've got a full-size A2 size panel here, 4¼ by 5½. And if I did it again, I would take a sliver off the top and one of the sides just to make it just under that 4¼ and 5½, because I think it would fit and it would close up better in this pocket than what mine did. I do make it work, but I know that if you trim it off, you're going to have better luck with it, because I wound up trimming one side off camera, just a smidgen. And I think I did trim the top a little bit as well. So what I'm doing is I'm just going to get my 3 sides connected and leave the top open so that I can bring in and fill it with my shaker bits afterward. So I'm just lifting and pressing as tight as I can with it. And you can see I got a little bump there. So what I wind up doing is I bring in my bone folder, my Teflon bone folder there, and I just press on it with that, and that helps me to get a really good crease, and it lays down very nicely on there. And so then I'm just going to go and get the 3rd side. I'm just kind of sizing it up because it is a little, that upper corner, I'm trying to get it lined up to where I can fold it right. And it's got a little bit, when I push it over where it belongs, it's got a little bit of a bubble in there, and that's when I decide to go back and trim it off. So I'm just getting it pressed down as well. And see, it's got a little bit of a bubble, or an arch to it. And so I just went off camera, cut a sliver off, and then I'm just pressing it back down real easy. And no problem. Was still able to use that with no problem. Now I'm going to get my shaker bits. I've got my triangle tray that I'm going to pour them in. And I'm going to use mirrored glass confetti and white AB solid confetti mix. These are both from Cat Scrappiness as well. And Cat Scrappiness has a huge variety of confetti, sprinkles, embellishments, and they're really very nice. So I really like using them. So I'm just going to put a little more in there. I felt like I needed a lot of confetti for this because I've never done a full panel, and I just felt like it would take a lot to really make an impact in that full-size panel. So I'm just going to sprinkle these 2 in there, and I'm going to just get them, inside there with my little triangle tray. That makes it real easy so you don't make a big mess. Now, one of the things I did not do was I didn't use my embossing powder, or my anti-static powder. I didn't use that to the inside of my panel. Sometimes I'll do that, and it turns out it didn't need it. It didn't stick too bad, and it flowed very well. So I was real happy with it. So there you can see it moves around quite nicely inside there, and it's really pretty. And I think I got the right amount. So I'm just playing with it. Now I'm going to bring in my card base, just making sure it's going to line up all right. Give it a little shake. And then I am going to just bring in my Barely Art glue and get it glued up so that I can lay it down on my panel. I'm still checking to make sure it's good and sealed, and it is. And then I'm going to take my glue, and I even go down into the corners of this because there's kind of a gap between where the sides over, the flaps over, come over. So I added some extra glue to it, and I'm just going to get it laid down on this panel. So this is really a very simple way to make a shaker card. And I'm going to set my magnets from my glassboard studio mat down on there and just give a little pressure so that the glue will dry while I'm working on the decorative portion of my card. So I am using the Spellbinders My Forever Person Stamp and Die Set, which was the Stamp and Die of the Month for December of 2022. So I don't know if any of you guys have that, but if you do, might be time to bring it back out and get some use out of it. I just went through my stamp and die supply and was looking to see what I had, and I thought this would be perfect for going into in advance of the Valentine season. So I thought I would just pull it out and play around with it. And this blue cardstock just matched really well with that paper that I used. And I'm just going to use this two-sided tear tape and for the backs of my hearts and my letters. I'm doing that because the glue can be messy sometimes on the acetate, and you want to keep it really clean and clear. And so I've just decided, rather than trying to mess with glue and creating a mess and having to clean up a mess, I would just use this tear tape and hopefully have a real good turnout with the adhesive. So that's what I was shooting for, and I've got plenty of this left. This comes in your Spellbinders kits, and I have it left over from some of those, so I'm just going to use it up, and I think it'll work great on this project. So I'm just getting the V. It does take a minute to get all these, but I think it's worth it just because of the end result being so clean. And then my O, you'll see, is smaller, and that's because it's designed to stack on top of the L. And I've got all those on there. So I think my glue is probably adhered enough that I can bring in my heart and get it laid down on there. So I'm just going to use my bone folder and go along there and burnish that tape just to make sure it's on there really well. And then I'll bring in my pick and stick tool and pull the backer tape off. And then we'll be able to get this laid down on our card base. Now I've got my grandkids today while I'm doing this voiceover, but they're all three being very quiet. Two of them are asleep, and the oldest one, my granddaughter, she is up just being real quiet, doing her thing. And so I told her, I said, I'm going to do a voiceover real quick. And she's like, okay. And the boys are both asleep because they're still fighting that terrible cold. They've just been miserable for the last few days. They did get to the doctor, and they do have some medicine, but hopefully they'll be getting over it soon because they've just been really uncomfortable. And I'm afraid that my granddaughter may be getting it as well because she's a little stuffy today. So I'm just getting this laid down on there how I want it. And I like it. It looks pretty good. I've decided I'm going to kind of curve it around the hearts. So I'm just kind of moving it around to where I can kind of curve it around the shape of the heart. And then I'll get my O laid down on there. Now I like how this looks right here really well, but I don't get it quite laid down that way. I get my V over a little bit, and it kind of bothered me. But I will tell you that this tear tape does stick very well, because I did try to move some of these letters after I stuck them down, and they were not budging. So it does work very well on this panel, this shaker panel. So I'm just going to burnish each and every letter as I put it down, and then just get it going. So I don't know if you guys had snow for the winter, but we absolutely did not. For Christmas, we didn't have any. we had just one day, well in advance of Christmas, where we had some big, large flakes that didn't even stick to the ground, and that has been the extent of our snow. So we did not have a white Christmas. We had a very mild Christmas. And, of course, we still have January and February left, and even March that can be very snowy months. So we'll see what comes. I'm not complaining. We actually were able to get all of our Christmas lights off the house and everything on a really warm day. I say we, my husband did it, but he was smart to do it when the weather was very nice so that he didn't have to be out there, when there's snow and freezing cold to take it down. So we got all that done, and while he was doing that, I did get the tree down and everything. I usually take it down pretty quickly after Christmas because I'm ready to kind of clean up and get my house back in order. Plus, with keeping the grandkids, I just felt like it was best to just really get the house back in order and be ready when they come back next week. Now, I didn't have them this week. I've got them today because my daughter had some errands and stuff that she wanted to get done, so I'm just keeping them for her while she does that, and then she'll be back to work next week, so then we'll be back to our regular schedule. So this is where I'm laying the V down, and I kind of lay it, I'm trying to center it up with the center of the heart, but that's not really where it should be in correlation with the E. So it's actually over a little bit to the left, a little bit too far, and I'm going to try and move it just a little bit just to kind of close the gap, and then get my O laid down. And then you can see the E's over a little bit further, I think, than what the L is. And once I get this O laid down, I think I even try to move the E, but these are not moving. Once I laid them down there and push down on them, that tape holds really well. You can see I'm trying to move them a little bit. It's like, no, they're not going to go anywhere. So I've decided that I'm good with it. So there it is. I'm shaking it, and it works really well. And I've decided to bring in some of the leftover strips from where I cut the paper down and just put a little strip on the inside just to bring some of that outside of the card onto the inside. And then I'll dig through my stash and find the appropriate sentiment that I want to use for the inside of the card. But I'll do that later. And then I'm just going to trim off the little excess piece that's hanging off there. And then that'll take care of the inside of the card. So I think it turned out really cute. I really like it. I hope you do too. If you do, consider giving me a thumbs up. Thank you.